Hi, we're here today to talk about Samsung Knox. Now, many people have likely heard of Samsung Knox and even seen the solution out there in action. And for many of you, I think you probably first saw it a few years ago when we were talking about the first generation of the platform, which in all honesty was a little bit more of a promise about what was to come with Samsung Knox, and may not have been fully enterprise grade and fully enterprise ready for everybody out there with all of our customers. So we've made a lot of improvements with Knox, particularly throughout 2014 and 2015, and we want to take this opportunity to take you through what Knox is today, why it exists, and then where we're going with that. Today we're in the very early phases of the next wave of mobility as we shift from just smartphones and tablets to a world of interconnected devices and services, what we call IoT, or the Internet of Things. And at Samsung, we're applying the lessons learned from that first wave of mobility to this next wave that's coming. Samsung builds more things than anybody else, and we're uniquely positioned to help our customers with the increasingly complex demands of establishing and managing their technical enterprise strategy. Knox is actually the key to doing this, and that's what we want to talk about for just a few minutes today. I'm going to touch on about 4 core areas. We're going to touch very briefly on some of the enterprise mobility trends that we're observing out there in the market right now, how Knox is superbly positioned to address those management and security issues that the new trends present, what Knox looks like today. It's a platform and there are solutions, and we're going to get into that, and also a peek at where the platform and its associated product portfolio is going in the not too distant future. Today, we're seeing mobile devices such as smartphones and tablets throughout the enterprise. Researchers are predicting, for example, that in 2016, somewhere in the neighborhood of 550 million devices could be sold for enterprise use around the world. And an increasing number of these devices are being used for purposes beyond simple transactional processes such as messaging and calendaring, because enterprises are deploying mobile business applications and solutions, realizing the promise of mobility that has been there from the outset, but is maybe only just coming to fruition in certain markets and certain industries. Now, all of these devices are endpoints on a network, and they exist beyond the corporate firewall, and they need to be very carefully managed because they present a security risk to the enterprise otherwise. Likewise, the data that's created or consumed on these devices needs to be protected, both at rest and in transit, over networks that are beyond the IT department's control. Industry analysts such as Gartner are predicting that by 2020 there will be over 8 billion IoT endpoints and as many as 25 billion endpoints on interconnected networks around the world, and these are just going to add to the complexity that we see out there. Many of these new IoT devices represent a new category. Some might be remote, some might be fully automated, some may not even lend themselves well to human interaction. But the point is that they're still nodes on a network, and those nodes represent an attack point or a gateway for people with malicious intent to gain access to other network applications and resources. And that's the threat of an interconnected world. So these IoT devices need to be managed and protected in ways that are very similar to how we protect phones and tablets today. So how do we secure corporate data, manage devices that exist beyond the traditional corporate firewall, and how do we do this in a way that doesn't impede the user experience but allows people to be more productive? And that's a very, very key point, because if you make things too complex, if you put too many barriers in the way of people, they will find ways around those barriers, and we need to eliminate them and make this seamless to the user to allow them to use the productivity applications that the IT departments, for example, may provide them. That's where Samsung Knox comes in. This is our trusted enterprise mobility platform and solution suite. Now, today, Knox can be found in the vast majority of smartphones and tablets that we manufacture at Samsung. We are gradually putting variants of Knox into other devices as well, and it's our intent to have Knox in most of the devices that we build, from wearables such as smartwatches to TVs, other appliances, and also in the connected devices that make up the Internet of Things. And the reason's simple. Knox offers unparalleled management capabilities as well as security safeguards for all of these devices. Individual devices or users are protected by Knox right out of the box. In the enterprise, Knox gives advanced capabilities that allow IT administrators to manage fleets of these devices as well as ensure their integrity and, importantly, that of the corporate data that is transacted or stored on the devices as well. So let's back up a little bit and explain exactly what Knox is, because there's a bit of a misconception out there in the marketplace that Knox is a product. It's actually not. Knox is a combination of platform-level security safeguards that are built into our mobile devices, as well as a suite of companion products and services that leverage that platform. So we think of it as the Knox platform and then products that sit on top of it. The Knox platform isn't something that you go out and buy. It's already embedded in your Samsung smartphone or tablet right at the manufacturing process. Knox platform's a combination of hardened versions of the software layers that make up the operating system on your device, as well as overlapping security mechanisms that monitor and detect such things as external attacks on the device, malicious code or applications, deviations from a trusted baseline, there's routing detection, and the list goes on. We can certainly go into more granular detail with you, but we're trying to give you a high level today. Finally, all of these security mechanisms are anchored in the very hardware of the device itself, into the chipset. And this is completely impervious to attack and inaccessible to anyone or anything. Now, that last point's important. There are a lot of tools and solutions out there in the market that talk about providing security in the mobile world, but almost all of them are only software-based. And the problem with a software model is that there's always a layer below what is protected that is susceptible to attack. Even if you protect all of the software layers on a device, there's still a hardware layer that people can get to. And the Knox platform is designed to protect that hardware layer as well as all of the software layers. So if you only have a work container on your device that might be provided by an MDM provider, for example, but there's no protection mechanisms for the underlying software layers of the operating system, the device can still be attacked at the OS level or at the boot layer. Or if you've secured the operating system and all of the software layers within it, but you don't embed the keys in the hardware, then those keys are also susceptible to retrieval, and your device can still be attacked. So an incomplete security model is nothing more than an illusion, and only software and hardware-backed protection will give you a truly secure environment. Now, this requirement for hardware-backed protection also explains why the Knox platform only exists on Samsung devices. We're the only device manufacturer in the world that builds its own devices. And we can control and guarantee the hardware. There's an interdependency between the software and hardware for Knox to function as it's intended to, and we simply don't have the ability to architect other manufacturers' hardware, nor to guarantee that it hasn't been tampered with. We'll go into a little bit more detail on some of these protections in a moment, but first I want to finish explaining what Knox is. As mentioned, there's the platform. It's a hardware-backed, complete device security and management platform that exists in just about every Samsung smartphone or tablet. Now, as part of the Knox family, there are also solutions that integrate with the platform, or products, if you will. Knox Workspace is a container that allows complete separation and isolation of work applications and data from anything that's on the personal side of the device. We'll go into a bit more detail on that in a few minutes. Knox Premium is an end-to-end solution aimed really at the small and medium business space that consists of a cloud-based mobility management interface as well as an on-device secure container that's very similar to the Knox Workspace container. Again, more details on that in a couple minutes. Knox Enabled App, or what we call KEA, is a specialized container. It's designed to protect individual applications without the need for an intrusive MDM control. So think of a mobile banking application, for example, that could be protected in a secure container, but without the need for the bank to actually touch or manage the customer's device. Knox Customization is a fantastic service that leverages many of the underlying Knox platform capabilities. Now, our customization services are unique in the industry, and they allow us to quickly and cost-effectively tailor various device hardware functions or create customized interfaces to turn existing off-the-shelf hardware into a purpose-built appliance. Very low cost, very effective. Now, these are just some of the examples of products or solutions that sit on top of the Knox platform, and there is more to come. So let's take a slightly deeper look at the platform itself. As mentioned, it's embedded in almost all Samsung devices, and it provides security, manageability, and productivity. Now, this is as technical as we're going to get here today. This is the technical slide with a little bit of jargon. But what you can do is you can think of a mobile device as having several layers to it. You can't see them, but they're there. There's a boot layer, which provides system startup instructions on the device. There's the kernel and the core Android runtime and all of its associated libraries. There's an application framework layer, and of course all of these software layers that form the operating system sit on top of the hardware itself. Android is the most widely used mobile operating system in the world. It has somewhere in the neighborhood of 75% global market share. Depends, different regions of the world is higher or lower, but on average we're talking about 75%. 3 out of every 4 phones or tablets bought or sold every day run on Android. Part of the reason that Android is so popular is because it's an open source system that provides a great deal of flexibility to manufacturers, such as Samsung, carriers, and developers. But that same openness and flexibility also means that it's more susceptible to attack than a more closed environment. So this is why enterprise adoption of Android has lagged behind consumer adoption, because enterprises are typically more risk averse than the average consumer and likely more aware of some of the dangers that they face. So at Samsung, we've invested heavily in fortifying Android to ensure that it meets the more stringent requirements of our enterprise customers. To be clear, Knox protects everybody. It protects every device, but it has an awful lot of capabilities that are aimed through the product portfolio, such as Knox Workspace, at our enterprise customers. What we've done is we've hardened every single layer of the device, software and hardware. Some of the key components, and this is where it gets a little technical, are we have trusted boot. This ensures that the bootloader and the OS kernel are originals from our factory. There are 4 separate bootloader checks that take place in sequence, and each of them validates that the previous bootloader was an authorized one before it progresses through the next layer in the sequence. Trusted boot rests in the ARM trust zone, which is a tamper-resistant section of the device processor itself. Again, talking about baking the security right into the hardware. Now, trust zone-based integrity measurement architecture, or what we call TIMA, periodically verifies that your device's kernel hasn't changed by continuously checking measurements and comparing them against the original kernel. TIMA also authenticates kernel modules as they're loaded so that devices are never vulnerable. SE for Android defines access control at the Linux level. So we have things called mandatory and discretionary access control, MAC or DAC, that monitor and manage which files and apps can access the device's system resources. So SE for Android enforces mandatory access control to make sure that apps are not given more permission than they need to access the device's system resources. That means that if a malicious user or app gets access to the device somehow, the damage is going to be contained in one single area, and it's going to leave other areas of the device uncompromised. In this diagram on the screen, we also are showing a core Knox product, the Knox Workspace, which is a container that allows IT departments to completely isolate and segregate work-related applications and data from the rest of the device. By solidifying the entire device, as we have, and by providing the ability to segregate and protect corporate data, Knox has received numerous accolades and awards from industry, including the highest score for security by a world-renowned IT research firm that we can't mention publicly here, but you've all heard of them. We also received the GSM Alliance 2015 award for Best Security or Anti-Fraud Product and Solution. And importantly, we've gained more security accreditations around the world than any other mobile solution. Some of the more important ones are Common Criteria certification for Mobile Device Fundamentals Protection Profile, MDFPP, and this is recognized by the governments of 26 countries around the world. We also have FIPS 140-2 validation, which is recognized by the US and Canadian governments. U.S. Department of Defense has authorized deployment of our devices through their Security Technical Implementation Guideline, or STIG. The U.S. NSA, or National Security Agency, has a Commercial Solutions for Classified program that is designed to allow commercial products, such as our devices, to be used in a classified environment. And Samsung Knox devices were the very first mobile device certified for commercial solutions for classified as of 2014. The UK government, through CESG, has approved deployment of our products through their end-user device security guidance, as well as the Finnish government through their Communications Regulatory Authority, the Australian Signals Directorate. More recently, the French government have provided ANSI certification, and the Chinese government have also given us certification for use in their environments as well. All of this doesn't go to show that, doesn't make our device secure. It goes to show that our devices are secure and have been tested and proven in some of the most rigorous environments in the world. Now, Knox itself is designed to be managed by your existing corporate infrastructure. We didn't design Knox so that we could sell you extra add-on tools and servers and things like that. We designed this so that you could take advantage of it out of the box with the existing corporate IT infrastructure that you have in place today. We work with, in particular, mobile device management, or MDM and EMM partners around the world to ensure that they have access to all of the tools and resources necessary to leverage and manage the Knox platform and its associated products. In particular, the Knox Workspace product, which is designed, again, to segregate corporate data from personal data on the device. Now, some of the most popular MDM solutions out there in the world, such as AirWatch, BlackBerry, Citrix, FancyPhone, IBM's Mobile First product line, Mobile Iron. There are others, of course, many, many of them, and we work with all of these partners very closely on a regular basis. And what we can do via our MDM partners is provide access to advanced Knox policies and device features and the ability to control those in an IT environment. So let's talk about productivity, because that is important. So Knox supports industry-leading email systems and calendaring and messaging functionality. We use Exchange ActiveSync as the mechanism to provide access to these features within the back office. We also provide access to some of the advanced ActiveSync features, such as information rights management, free busy lookup, and others. We also provide IT controls that allow IT administrators to determine whether or not users can use a specific Samsung feature with these applications within the Knox Workspace itself. So these are features like multi-window support on many of our devices, fingerprint authentication for certain applications, the use of our S Pen on certain devices, use of external input mechanisms such as keyboards. And also, whatever your business application, you get to decide if and how it can be accessed on the device. So the Knox platform is designed to accommodate all of your mobile work applications and their data, such as corporate email and messaging accounts, office suites, cloud services, specialized or custom applications. It provides a secure browser. The list goes on. All of these things together are what make employees more productive, and we allow the environment that they work in to be secured, very flexible, and easy for them to use. So let's talk a little bit about some of these products that sit on top of the platform. There's, first of all, Knox Workspace. And many people actually, I think, confuse Knox with Knox Workspace. It's a product that sits on top of the platform, and it's tightly integrated with that underlying platform. And it provides the very best protection and defenses for your work applications and files. You can use any Android application within the Knox Workspace. Applications can be whitelisted or blacklisted. They can be auto-installed by IT administrators if required. Work data is completely isolated and separately encrypted from personal data with a different key. And remember, that key is stored in the chipset of the device, not in a file system that itself could be susceptible to attack. And you can't access work data with personal applications. This means that you can't save a work file, for example, but access it with your personal email account. Knox Workspace and everything in it is managed by the IT department via their existing MDM consoles. And it's even possible in certain environments, if you want to remove the personal side of the device entirely if people want a work-only device. That, at a high level, is what Knox Workspace as a product offers. For those customers that don't have an MDM infrastructure, these might be in small, medium business or certain geographies in the world, MDM solutions may just not be all that popular. What we've done is we've created a product called Knox Premium. Knox Premium includes a simpler version of the Knox Workspace container that provides many of the exact same protections and controls, but it also comes with a cloud-based enterprise mobility management tool. This EMM console that comes with Knox Premium is designed so that an IT administrator, or an employee, if you don't have an IT administrator, can activate and provision devices for corporate use, manage how they function, and also what they have access to. So it provides management and security to Samsung devices, but it can also leverage the basic management features that are included on other Android and also in iOS devices, such as the ability to turn a device feature on or off, for example. We can't provide the same security features on those other devices because we don't have the same access and control to them, but we can certainly help you manage them with Knox Premium. KEA, the Knox enabled app, is a product that leverages the underlying Knox platform, and it provides protection for individual applications, but without the need for MDM control. So I mentioned earlier a mobile banking application, and this is an ideal example of how KEA works. Ideally, a bank would like to wrap its consumer-focused banking application in a protected container to protect it from other applications or services that are running on the device. Why? Well, they don't know what state your phone is in. They don't know what you have on it. They don't know whether it's been rooted or hacked. They don't know anything about it. So ideally, they would like to control the application in a container via an MDM console. But they can't do that. First of all, they can't pay for MDM licenses for all of their millions of customers. Customers probably wouldn't want to give the bank access to their device that way anyways. And also, customers might already have an MDM, which could conflict with the controls that the bank wants to put on it. So what Knox Enabled App, or KEA, allows the bank to do is to take their regular Android application, make a very slight modification to that application, and then at installation time on a device, that application will see that it's on a compatible Samsung device. And this is actually with Knox version 2.5 or higher, but it will see it's on a compatible Samsung device, and it will automatically create a secure container that provides many of the same protections that Knox Workspace does, but without the MDM management control on it. So the KEA application and its data are isolated from the rest of the device, secured in the event that something bad happens somewhere else on the device. Now, if that same application is installed on another Android device, it will just install as normal, the way it was designed to. So you do not need to manage multiple versions of the same app. You're simply putting a couple lines of code in a manifest file, and it's instructing the application to create the container and drop itself inside of it. Very, very elegant, easy to use solution. Knox Customization, as I mentioned earlier, is a service that leverages the platform. It's not really a product, it's a combination of product and service. And it's got some toolkits that allow you to create branded software. You can remap hardware keys to perform different functions. You can control network connections. You can remove notifications or unwanted software. You have full control over how the device is going to look and feel, other than the actual physical size of the device itself. So the objective of Knox Customization is to replace high-cost single-purpose devices with much lower-cost commercially available Samsung devices, smartphones or tablets, by tailoring the functionality of those devices to meet specific needs. So think of in-flight entertainment systems, retail kiosks, interactive menus or entertainment systems in the hospitality industry, where you need a screen that does something that looks very, very purpose-built and unique, but you can just do this on existing commercially available hardware that is far lower cost than a purpose-built appliance. The possibilities here really only limited by your imagination. Now, of course, having devices with the best security management platform isn't much good if you can't take advantage of them with applications and services. I mentioned before, any Android application can run within the Knox Workspace itself. In addition to that, we work with many partners around the world to assist them with leveraging the platform security features directly. Now, this can work in a variety of ways. In some cases, we work with partners to ensure that they can manage our devices properly. So that's really like MDM partners that we talked about earlier. In other cases, we assist partners with specialized SDKs or software development kits that allow them to leverage Samsung-specific features. We can even help partners by allowing their applications to directly invoke some of the monitoring safeguards that are included in the Knox platform. So regardless of the requirement, we probably have a solution partner that can address it. And here on the screen is just a few of some of the more than 1,000 partners out there that are within our enterprise ecosystem today. Now, I said at the beginning, and this is where we're going to wrap up, that we talk a little bit about where we're going with Knox. As we move forward, Knox is going to play an increasingly important role here at Samsung and for our customers. It's the security foundation for Samsung smartphones and tablets today, but versions of this same platform are already making their way to other connected devices. Smart home systems, connected car modules, our smart watch systems. There are new product categories emerging that will depend on Knox. New mobile office solutions, smart health systems, things like this. When people talk about IoT, they're talking about all of these different solutions and the connected endpoints that will help manage those solutions. Variants of Knox are going to go into the overwhelming majority of these things that we're building. Whether it has a Samsung logo on the front of it, or whether it's just some of the components that we provide to other manufacturers in the world for the products that they're creating. Variants of Knox are going to proliferate out there in the enterprise and around the world. So as we wrap up today, I'm just going to ask that you remember a few key points. Knox is unparalleled defense-grade security and management platform that exists in our mobile devices today. It's a product family of solutions that depends on and integrates with a platform. All of this is wrapped under the Knox banner. So some of the solutions, such as Knox Workspace or Knox Customization, are purpose-built to serve some of the most stringent needs of our enterprise customers. Knox is also primed for growth beyond phones and tablets because it's a core component of our Internet of Things strategy at Samsung. And remember, we make more things than anybody else. I want to thank you for your time today, and I encourage you to get in touch with us or your account managers if you have any questions at all. Thanks.